Okay, so the Black Stars of Ghana have finally, the coach has announced the squad for the Black Stars heading into African Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire.
I hereby announce my AFCON 2023. Goalkeepers: Lawrence Atizigi, Richard Ofori, Joseph Wallacott. Fullbacks: Alidou Seydou, Dennis Odoi, Kingsley Schindler, Gideon Mensah, Hamid Fatau. Central defenders: Daniel Amati, Nicholas Opoku, Alexander Jiku, Mohamed Salisu. Midfield plus advanced midfield players: Salih Samed, Baba Adrisu, Majid Ashimiru, Elijah Owusu, Richmond Lamptey, Mohamed Kudus, Andre Ayew, Ransford Konistorfer. Wingers stroke wide players: Osman Bukhari, John Pencil, Jordan Ayew, Ernest Nuama. Strikers, number 9s: Iñaki Williams, Antoine Semenyo, Jonathan Cobb. And that completes my 27 squad list for AFCON 2023.
Some few names that are quite surprising. For instance, we have 3 outfield players from the Ghana League, and we have some of the players who are at their peaks playing for the national team also in the at the Alisa Hotel today. The coach Chris Hughton has explained why some players were omitted from the squad, particularly the headline was Thomas Partey. The highlight of the players who were omitted from the squad: Thomas Partey, according to the coach, is nursing an injury and wouldn't be available by the time that the team will require him to be in camp for the African Cup of Nations. So Thomas Partey will be out of the AFCON. There is also Fatau Ishaku, which the coach has explained reasons why he's been left out of the squad. I think that has been public knowledge. The player wants to develop. He's just 19, has already played at the World Cup and the African Cup of Nations, and so it's not quite strange for him to finding his feet at Leicester City. He's been left out. Baba Rahman, who played for the Black Stars in Kumasi some time back, has not featured for the team despite having some good run with his club in Greece. Baba is also out of the team. But you watch through the squad and you can see that Coach Chris Hughton has struggled to come up with this team. Most of the players are injured, and I spoke to assistant coach Masao Didi Dramani, who expressed his frustration to say with players. Daniel Kofitre has been out of the team for some time, and he sees him as a player who is a team player but has not been fit for some time. So this is what we have. These are the players at our disposal now. And then the coach has said he couldn't have gone beyond. As to winning the African Cup of Nations, Coach Chris Hughton has said he would like to be. He doesn't want to be a coach leading a team that doesn't believe that they can win the African Cup of Nations. Obviously, figuratively, to say that he's interested in building a team that is having the confidence of going into the tournament to win. He doesn't see Ghana as the favorite, but also talks about advantages that comes with having less pressure on you and not being tagged as a favorite to win the tournament. So these are some of the things. I particularly asked him about him not having enough experience. We've had coaches like Kwesi Appiah, Milovan Rajevac, who have been at the AFCON for twice or thrice and still failed miserably. How is he going into a tournament having no practical experience of playing in there? And the coach has admitted that, well, that's a challenge, but also presents some opportunities for him as a coach to be able to see the positivities that comes with not knowing what the AFCON means. And he talks about some players who are part of the African Cup of Nations.
Saddick.
Happy New Year to you, Coach.
Thank you.
The President, in his initial remarks, admitted to the team, which is a general fact, being in challenge in recent times, especially the two African Cup of Nations, have been some of the most disastrous for Ghana. And having noticed that these competitions were led by coaches who have some for practical knowledge of the African terrain and had some experience in the AFCON, you have none. Going into the competition with a team that is under very serious challenges in that competition. How is that an advantage or otherwise for you?
I think when you talk about challenges, you know, there are always balances. So it can be, the balances can be a head coach that hasn't experienced this before. It can be a head coach that has not so much experience. It can be a head coach that has a lot of experience. It can be a head coach that has experience of working with players in the guise of a head coach and of course as an assistant coach. It can be a head coach that is born in the country, or as I see in so many of the African teams, it can be coaches that are born outside of the country. So these are always the balances. One thing that has to be the common denominator is a coach that's prepared to work with the players, that has the know-how of the players, and knows what the task is. And I've already spoken about this in this press conference today. I'm aware of what the challenges are. I think that when I look at the African Cup of Nations, I see changes. I see, even in the makeup of the teams that play, you know, so many more countries have players playing that are not playing in their countries, that are playing abroad, particularly Europe. And so as much as you speak about the coach and his responsibilities and what he knows about the African Cup of Nations, it's also in every country a group of players that were not born in that country. So there are so many different guises that can drive a head coach on to want success.
Who have never stayed on the continent, who are very green to the continent, but are coming to play for their team. So it is not about knowing the African Cup of Nations. It is not about having the experience. It is about finding the balance between not knowing and knowing. So this is what Ghana presents. The players announced for the Black Stars on your screens now. 27 of them, like I mentioned. We have all the key players who are fit are in, but some few players who are unfit have been left out. The highlight of that, Thomas Partey will not be playing at the African Cup of Nations. Fatawi Shaku, Daniel Kofitre, all of them are not part of the African Cup of Nations. The itinerary of the team is that they are starting campaign tomorrow, that is on the 2nd of January 2024 in Kumasi. They will play Namibia on the 8th of January in Kumasi before they depart Kumasi for Abidjan on the 10th of January 2024. So this is basically the wrap-up of what has transpired at the Alisa Hotel. Coach Chris Hughton announcing a squad going into his first international tournament, and we wish him the best of luck. And to everyone around the Black Stars, we wish them the best of luck in the African Cup of Nations. See you in Abidjan.